Hi guys, so what I've got here is a tutorial for installing an operating system other than macOS onto one of these polycarbonate iMacs. If you've got any other version of Mac or an iMac, actually this is fairly straightforward, or assuming it's got an Intel CPU, which this one does, but it's the first generation of Intel-based iMacs. The problem with these polycarbonate ones is they have a 64-bit CPU, so can run 64-bit operating system, but they've got a 32-bit EFI. So the EFI is the kind of partition on the drive where when the system boots, it's the first thing that gets read, and it's the thing that will then load bootloaders for loading other operating systems. Many operating systems might not have a 32-bit kind of EFI to install a 64-bit operating system, and so this causes issues. And I've played with a few of these iMacs, tried all sorts of different methods, and kind of finally settled on something which I think works. And so what we're going to be doing here, we're going to be using a tool called Ventoy, which is kind of almost an intermediary that you can boot into Ventoy, and then Ventoy allows you to then load the maybe 64-bit installer or image to then install or run another operating system. So what we're going to do is go over to my Windows machine. We're going to configure a Ventoy USB drive, then stick it in, and then demonstrate how to actually then install another operating system. So yeah, let's move on to the setting up the USB stick. Okay, so the first step is to get Ventoy. So go to the Ventoy website, so here ventoy.net. We're going to go to downloads, and then I'm on Windows, so I'm going to use the Windows version. Click on File, takes you to the GitHub page here, and if we scroll down, we can then get this file here, Ventoy, the latest version. In this case, it's 1.090 and windows.zip. So download that and extract it. So I've already previously downloaded that. So I literally just extracted the entire folder. So we've got here Ventoy and the version there. And then if we open it up, we're going to go Ventoy to disk. So we're going to run this application, and this is going to configure a USB stick. So I've got I think 4 gig USB stick connected. So we'll go Ventoy to disk. Do we want to allow that? Yes. Here's the interface, very simple. So make sure you've got your device selected, 4 gigabyte generic flash disk, and then we'll just go install. And so it says, this device can be formatted. So obviously make sure you've not got anything useful on there, because it's going to wipe the whole thing. Yes, we're going to continue. Are you sure? Yes. So we see that this doesn't take too long, and so what it's doing is kind of configuring the drive so that when we boot, we're able to select the Ventoy drive, and then when we go into Ventoy, we can select the image that we want to boot from. And so this is now configured the drive. If we now go back to the File Explorer, we'll see that there's now a Ventoy disk on there. And all we do here is we drag and drop our image that we want. So what I've got here, I've got an image for Linux Mint, and so this is the disk image file. Let that copy over, and then when that's complete, what we'll do is we'll take the USB stick out, put it in the iMac, and then we can go from there to boot to the image that we've just put on this drive. Okay, so I let that disk image copy over, and I've taken the USB stick out of the PC, plugged it into the Mac here. So what we're going to do is restart. So we're going to go, restart there. Okay, so it's restarting now. I'm pressing the Option key, just holding it down. So now we're in the Mac boot menu. So on the left is our internal hard drive, and on the right we've got this EFI boot option. That's the USB stick that we created with Ventoy. So we'll press enter. This error seems to come up, doesn't seem to cause any particular issue. What not a secure boot platform means, I don't really know. We'll give it a second though, and then we should boot into Ventoy. Here we go. There we go. So we've booted into Ventoy now. Here we can see we've got our Linux Mint disk image, the .iso file. Potentially you could have a whole number of disk images here. We've just got one because this is what we're going to install here. So hit enter, and then it gives you the option, do you want to boot in normal mode or boot in Grub2 mode? Depending on what operating system you're booting into, either of these might work. I don't know all the ins and outs of why you might choose one over the other. With this particular image, I found the Grub2 mode works, whereas the other doesn't. So it's a bit of trial and error. So we hit boot in Grub2 mode, hit enter, and there we go. So this is now the Grub menu for Linux Mint. So if we go start Linux Mint, what we should get now is it should start to boot into the operating system, booting that disk image, and then within Linux Mint it gives you the option to install it from the desktop there. This isn't a tutorial of kind of how to install Linux Mint on any machine, but you can see we've been able to create a bootable USB stick. We've been able to boot into Ventoy, and then from Ventoy we've been able to select our disk image. And so regardless of what disk image you want to use, you should be able to use this option to boot into whatever image or boot any operating system you want to. So yeah, I hope you guys have found this useful. I'm going to have a follow-up video actually of installing Laka, a retro gaming operating system, onto one of these iMacs and turning it from a not really that useful computer into quite a nice retro gaming unit. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.